everyone, welcome back to our channel. So today we'll be starting with the last and final electronic effect. The name of the effect is hyperconjugation effect. In the last two lectures, uh, or in the last few lectures, we have undergone some basic points about organic chemistry and physical sciences in particular, and then we have discussed in some depth about resonance effect and then inductive effect. And so today we'll be finishing off the electronic effects by finishing with the hyperconjugation effect. So hyperconjugation effect can be defined as a switching of alpha hydrogen and pi bonds. What this means basically is that you can see in a molecule, if there are alpha hydrogen present, then if there are alpha hydrogen present and there is a functional group adjacent to the carbon that is in alpha position with respect to the functional group, then we can see there is a switching of alpha hydrogen and the pi bond. uh, in spite of doing this rigorous definition, let us take some example so that it will be more clear to you. First of all, let us define what an alpha hydrogen is. Let us understand what an alpha hydrogen is and what an alpha carbon is. So in a molecule, we may have some functional groups, and the carbon that is adjacent to the functional group is called the alpha carbon. I have marked here that there is a double bond, and I have treated this double bond as a functional group. This is an alkene. So this alkene, this two carbon has been treated as a functional group. These two carbon together makes a functional group, and adjacent to this functional group we are having this carbon. So this carbon is called the alpha carbon, and the hydrogen attached to this carbon is called the alpha hydrogens. So in this case, these three hydrogens are called the alpha hydrogens. Now the condition of hyperconjugation is that, okay, first of all, before understanding the conditions, let us understand what is happening. So if suppose you come across some structure, like we are having a functional group, multi-bonded functional group like this, it might be some other molecule also. Generally it happens with alkenes. So we are having these double bonds, and then we are having this double bonded carbons. Adjacent position is this alpha carbon, and the alpha carbon is having some alpha hydrogen. So what can happen is that this alpha hydrogen will break off, and this bond will shift here, and this bond will go above to this carbon, resulting in this canonical form. And this hydrogen is released as H plus, and temporarily it is shifted to this position, and in the next step again this double bond will capture this one, and this will come again to here, and this structure will again regain. That means these two structures are interconvertible. So this kind of sort of resonance, it is not actually resonance, this kind of movement of electron is called hyperconjugation. Now you might be wondering why hyperconjugation is taking at the first place. So to understand this thing, you need to observe something, that here I am saying that functional group, multivalent functional group needs to be present. What do I mean by multivalent functional group? That means the valency is more than one. That means there are multiple bonds in this functional group. Like here I have a pi bond. If this was a single bonded functional group like OH, then it would not have happened. The hyperconjugation would not have happened. Now since this is a multi-bonded functional group, hence here is already electron density is already present. That means here the electronegativity is present, and here electronegativity is less. So what we can infer from here is that this sp2 hybridized carbon would be pulling these electrons from this sigma bond. Hence here a partial delta plus charge will develop on this carbon. Therefore, there is a large tendency of this hydrogen to break apart, and form a bond here, and then this bond will shift over here. So this is the very reason why hyperconjugation is happening, because there is a high delta plus charge that is being generated by this multivalent functional group, and hence chances are high that this hydrogen will break off in the form of H plus, and then hyperconjugation will take place. One thing is to be noted is that hyperconjugation is not continued across the bonds. We will always see that the hyperconjugation will always occur in this adjacent carbon, and hydrogen. It will be limited to this part of the molecule only. Suppose I'm having a bigger parts of the molecule, hyperconjugation will always occur to this alpha hydrogen, this alpha carbon, and the carbon adjacent to this alpha hydrogen. So in other terms, we can say that the hyperconjugation is limited to only 3 or 4 atoms. In general, it means that hyperconjugation is a less powerful effect than resonance, because in case of resonance we already saw that resonance can happen continued when we are having a continuous conjugation of bonds. Now that we have understood the basics of hyperconjugation and what is happening, now we will learn the conditions for hyperconjugation to happen in a molecule. So the first and foremost condition is that the carbon adjacent to the multiple bonded group must contain at least one hydrogen. Let me repeat again. The carbon adjacent to the multiple bonded group must contain at least one hydrogen. So I have hidden the names of alpha carbon and alpha hydrogen. I have written it a bit later, that what basically this carbon adjacent to the multiple bonded group, this adjacent carbon is called the alpha carbon, and the hydrogens attached to the alpha carbon is called the alpha hydrogen. So in case you don't remember what is alpha hydrogen, what is alpha carbon, you need not remember all those things. You just, what you need to see is that you are having a multiple bonded functional group, and you just look adjacent to that multiple bonded functional group and find if there is any hydrogen attached to that carbon. If there is hydrogen attached to the carbon, then hyperconjugation will always take place. Now let us come to the properties of hyperconjugation. The first property of hyperconjugation is that the more number of alpha hydrogen that the alpha carbon is having, the more number of hyperconjugative structures the molecule will have. It is quite obvious. Let me take the example of this previous molecule. Like here we are having three hydrogens. So we can say that at a particular moment, any one of these hydrogen can break apart, and then this bond will shift here and this bond will shift over to this carbon, which means that we can have three hyperconjugational structures for each of these hydrogen. Suppose there was by some means only two hydrogen, it could have been that here there was another carbon and this chain would have been continuing to the left side. Then we could have said that there is only two hydrogens that can undergo hyperconjugation. So we could have said that the hyperconjugation for this structure would have been more in case this number of hydrogen were less. Basically what I'm trying to mean is that more the number of hydrogen, more the number of alpha hydrogen rather, more the number of alpha hydrogen, the more the hyperconjugation will take place. The second property comes to this is that the dispersion of electrons occur from sigma bond to pi bond. This might come directly as a objective question and you must understand this, and if you don't understand, you just need to wrote this down to your memory. The thing is, the dispersion of electron occurs from sigma bond to pi bond. You can clearly see from here is that initially this electron is getting transferred to this bond, and then this bond is shifting to this carbon. This means this electron is basically getting transferred, and this electron is initially present in the sigma bond present between the carbon and hydrogen. Then this electron is shifted to this sigma bond. As a pi bond, it is shifted, like this sigma bonded electron is forming a new pi bond between these two carbons, and the existing pi bond between these adjacent carbons is getting shifted to the carbon. That means ultimately the electron transfer is happening from a sigma bond to a pi bond. So these were the properties of hyperconjugation, and next we shall look to some questions based on hyperconjugation. Starting off with the first question, in the first question or rather example, I have tried to make you understand how the electron density varies in the double bonds with the effects of the electronic effect. So the question asks to compare the electron densities that is present in the pi bonded double bonds in the following molecules 1, 2 and 3. I've numbered the molecules and you need to tell how much electron density is present in these double bonds. So in order to do this, first of all you need to understand what are the electronic effects that are being activated on these three molecules 1, 2 and 3. Firstly, we can see that we are having a methyl group, and here we are also having some alkyl groups, larger alkyl groups. So what we can say from here is that obviously inductive effect is taking place in all of these three atoms. With what kind of inductive effect is taking place? Obviously it is plus I, because we can see that these are methyl groups and in general these are alkyl groups, and we already have studied that alkyl groups have a tendency to push electrons away from their bonds. So there is a general tendency of pushing the electrons towards this right hand side. The electrons are getting pushed via the sigma bond, and that we have studied under the name inductive effect. So we can say that the order of inductive effect in 1, 2 and 3 can be generalized to be 3 greater than 2 greater than 1. Why? Because we have already understood that alkyl groups, although provide inductive effect, the magnitude of inductive effect directly varies with the size of the alkyl group. Larger or bulkier the size of the alkyl group, more will be the plus I, or more will be the inductive effect. So from there we can conclude that this bulky alkyl group will give more plus I than 2 and then this 1. But here we can also see that hyperconjugation effect is taking place if you look very clearly. As I have told you that this bond is the functional group, I'm treating it as the functional group. So this adjacent carbon is the alpha carbon. In this case, this carbon is the alpha carbon, and in this case, this carbon is the alpha carbon. Now, what we see is that this alpha carbon is having 3 hydrogens, and this alpha carbon is having only 1 hydrogen, and this alpha carbon is having no alpha hydrogen. So what we can say is that in the first molecule, due to the presence of 3 alpha hydrogens, there will be hyperconjugation. 3 hyperconjugation structure will be possible for this structure number 1. Only 1 hyperconjugation structure will be possible for structure number 2, as there is only 1 alpha hydrogen, and 0 alpha hydrogen is present in structure number 3, hence there will be no hyperconjugation present in structure number 3. So we can say that the hyperconjugation effect order will be 1 greater than 2 greater than 3. Now what we were asked initially is to find or is to compare the electron density present in the double bonds. Now we can understand that if hyperconjugation is taking place, these hydrogens will break off and a double bond will form between these two carbon, and this double bond will break and the pi bond will shift over to this carbon. The same thing will happen for this molecule also, like double bond will generate between these two carbon, and this double bond will break and the electron will come over this carbon. So we can say more the hyperconjugation is happening, less this electron cloud is present. That means the probability of breaking of this electron cloud, of this double bonded electron cloud, is more if the hyperconjugation is more. So from there we can say that in case of 3, since there is no hyperconjugation, hence this double bond is the most stable. What I am trying to say is that most stable, or the double bond is located between these two carbon. It is not getting dislocated. That means the electron density has increased, or rather the electron density remains intact in the molecule number 3. But in case of 1 and 2, due to the effect of hyperconjugation, this double bond is getting broken and this electron is coming over to this carbon. In 2 also the same thing is happening, hence we can say that the electron density is the greatest in 3, and then in 2, and then in 1. The reason being hyperconjugation. More the hyperconjugation, less the stability of these double bonds. In the next question, I have tried to compare the stability of carbocations. We are given 4 carbocations. This is CH3, 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 and the same thing continues, only the alkyl groups I have changed. This is C2H5 and this is C3H7 and this is C4H9. So we know that all these species are unstable. Why? Because it is charged, and obviously charged species can never be stable unless and until they become neutral, or they find some other charge bind with them and become neutral as a whole, like they exist as plus and minus, as suppose for the example of crystal lattice as Na plus Cl minus. So this charge needs to be stabilized. How it is going to be stabilized? By some electronic effects. So here there is no chance of resonance because there is no double bond or there is no negative charge. I've already given you the list of items how to identify if resonance is happening or not. So now resonance is ruled out of the option, so we are having hyperconjugation and inductive effect. So we see inductive effect is obviously taking place because we are having alkyl groups here. And we can also say that the inductive effect is maximum in 4, then 3, then 2, then 1. Why? Because the alkyl groups are the largest in 4 and the alkyl groups are decreasing in size as we go from 4, 3, 2 to 1. On the other hand, we also see that hyperconjugation effect is also present. Why? Because since this is the it is not actually a functional group, but rather this is the site of our observation, and adjacent to this is the alpha carbon. This can be treated as the alpha carbon, and the hydrogens present on this carbon is called the alpha hydrogens. We are having this 3, 3 and 3, 9 alpha hydrogens in this molecule. In this molecule we are having 2 because only the adjacent carbons hydrogens are to be counted, and if you just expand this C2H5, it will be CH2 and then CH3. Then CH2 will be having 2 hydrogens. Similarly, the other carbons will also be having those 2 hydrogens. Then it will be having 6, 2, 2 and 2, 6 alpha hydrogens. In this case, we'll also be having 6 alpha hydrogens, and in this case also we'll be having 6 alpha hydrogens. So what we can say is that amongst these molecules, this one is having the maximum number of alpha hydrogens. So hyperconjugation will be the maximum for number 1, but the amount of hyperconjugation for 2, 3 and 4 effectively remains the same because all of them are having 6 alpha hydrogens. So now how to decide? So now we can clearly see that there is a competition between inductive and hyperconjugation effect. Why? Because in the previous question we just saw that the hyperconjugation and the inductive effect are taking place simultaneously. So now which one to give more preference? So I have discussed this part about the preference of inductive effect, hyperconjugation effect and resonance effect if they're taking place together. Although it is true that the resonance is not taking place in this question, but you might come across some questions where all the three are taking place. So which preference to take first? So firstly, I have classified resonance and hyperconjugation into one group because we can say that resonance and hyperconjugation, both of them are permanent movement of electrons through pi bonds. I have also made you write this point when I was teaching resonance, that resonance is the actual and permanent movement of electrons through the pi bonds. But inductive effect are temporary movement of electrons through the sigma bonds that are primarily happening because of the electronegativity difference between the atoms present in the molecular species. So we can always say that the a temporary effect is weaker than a permanent effect. So we can say from this discussion, from this argument here, that resonance and hyperconjugation both are definitely more than inductive effect, more in the sense of their stability providing or the powerful. That is, resonance and hyperconjugation are more powerful than inductive effect. So this can be inferred from these two arguments. Now between resonance and hyperconjugation, we have seen that resonance is a continued effect. That means resonance might continue across the bonds or across the length of the molecule if it finds conjugated bonds. But in case of hyperconjugation, I have repeatedly told that the hyperconjugation will only continue till the adjacent atoms. The same has been depicted with a picture. Suppose we are having a long carbon chain, and in one end we are having C minus and in the other end we are having C plus. In between you are having conjugated double bonds. What does conjugation means? That means alternate pi bonds and sigma bonds. So we can clearly see that this negative charge might shift over here and this will shift over here, and the conjugation will continue, and the movement of the electron, the dispersal of electron will continue along the length of the carbon. But in case of hyperconjugation, it will continue only to these three carbons. Hence we can say that the hyperconjugation is not as prolonged as resonance. So in general we can say that resonance is always more powerful than hyperconjugation. So you need to pick this into your mind, that the priority order, the overall priority order, and this always follows, is resonance greater than hyperconjugation greater than inductive effect, provided these three things are simultaneously working in the molecule. So coming back to this question, comparing the stability of the carbocations, we have seen that hyperconjugation is working in all of them, and resonance and not resonance and inductive effect is also working among all of them. But we have seen that hyperconjugation is more powerful than inductive effect. So in basis of hyperconjugation we'll judge first. So we can see that among 1, 2, 3 and 4, one is having 9 alpha hydrogen. So since one is having 9 alpha hydrogen, we can clearly say that one is the most stable because it is having 9 alpha hydrogen, and we have already decided that that hyperconjugation is more prolonged or more powerful effect than inductive effect. And between 2, 3 and 4, we see that 2, 3 and 4, all of them is having 6 alpha hydrogens, and the hyperconjugation stability gained by hyperconjugation is the same because we are having 6 alpha hydrogens. Hence the hyperconjugation amount will be same, and the stability gained due to hyperconjugation will be same for 2, 3 and 4. Hence we cannot see for hyperconjugation. We cannot decide by just looking into hyperconjugation for molecule number 2, 3 and 4. Hence we go to the next, inductive effect. Judging by inductive effect, we can clearly see that the inductive effect is more in the case of 4 than 3 than 2. So we can say that 4 is more stable than 3, that is even more stable than 2. But again, the most stable is 1. Why? Because 1 is having hyperconjugation to the maximum. Hence we can ultimately say that the stability order of the carbocations will be 1 greater than 4 greater than 3 greater than 2. Why? Because 1 is the most according to hyperconjugation. Then between 2, 3 and 4 we cannot decide due to hyperconjugation because all of them are having 6 alpha hydrogens. Hence we look for inductive effect, and in inductive effect 4 is greater than 3 greater than 2. Hence the ultimate order will be 1 greater than 4 greater than 3 greater than 2. Therefore, we can again say that the ultimate order of the stability of these carbocations will be 1 greater than 4 greater than 3 greater than 2, and 1 will be highest as per hyperconjugation, and 432 will be judged as per the inductive effect, since hyperconjugation is the same. And this whole thing is been derived from this slide, the inductive versus hyperconjugation versus resonance effects, and you need to stick this to your mind that always resonance will be more powerful than hyperconjugation, and that will be still more powerful than inductive effect. So in general we can say that you need to look first if resonance is happening in a molecule, and then hyperconjugation, and then inductive effect. Now we'll be wrapping up this lecture with the last topic today. The topic's name is heat of hydrogenation. So let us first understand what is heat of hydrogenation. Heat of hydrogenation is basically the amount of heat that should be given to an alkene to make it alkane. That means heat of hydrogenation is that much heat, or that much amount of heat, that needs to be provided to a double bonded alkene so that it becomes a single bonded alkane. This amount of heat is called the heat of hydrogenation. I have depicted this in the diagram. Suppose we are having an alkene. This is the energy profile. This is the energy, the potential energy of the molecules. Suppose I am taking some XYZ molecule. I am not naming any such. In general, I am taking an alkene which is having both sigma and pi bonds. And after we are heating it, we are having an alkane which is having only sigma bonds. So how am I knowing that the alkane is in lower energy state than the alkene? It is simply because alkane is having all the sigma bonds and alkene is having sigma plus pi bond, and we have already studied in chemical bonding that pi bonds are not as strong as sigma bonds. So more the strength of the bonds, or more the strong the bond is, the more it is difficult to break the atom. Hence the potential energy will be lower if the atom is more stable. We have already said this thing repeatedly, hence we can already infer that an alkene will be in a higher energy profile than alkane, simply because alkene is having both sigma and pi bonds. But alkane, as it is having only sigma bonds, hence it is more stabilized because its potential energy is lower. Hence we can say when we are hitting an alkene, it will become alkane. And the heat that is required for this transition is called heat of hydrogenation. The heat of hydrogenation is basically this energy gap. The energy gap between this alkane and alkene is called the heat of hydrogenation. So in order to find the order of heat of hydrogenation, two most important points that we need to remember is that firstly, more the pi bonds, more will be the heat of hydrogenation. It is quite obvious because when we are heating alkene, what we are basically doing is we are plugging in hydrogens in the double bonded pi bonds. Hence, more the number of pi bonds, more the hydrogens will be added, and hence more the heat will be required. That means if I am having an alkene which is having 10 pi bonds, it will obviously have more heat of hydrogenation than another alkene which is having only, suppose, 2 pi bonds. The second point is, suppose we are having two molecules which are having the same number of pi bonds, then the more stable alkene will have the less heat of hydrogenation. You need to understand this point very minutely, that the more stable alkene will have the less heat of hydrogenation, provided both the alkenes have the same number of pi bonds. Let us now corroborate the small theory that we have understood about the heat of hydrogenation by this question. So in this question, we are asked to compare the heat of hydrogenation. I have abbreviated it as HOH. This is the abbreviation of heat of hydrogenation. So we are asked to compare the heat of hydrogenation of molecule number 1, 2 and 3. So firstly, we see in molecule number 1 there is only one pi bond present. In molecule number 2 there is 2 pi bonds, and in molecule number 3 there are again 2 pi bonds. So by this discussion, we have already seen that more the number of pi bonds, obviously the heat of hydrogenation will be more. So we can obviously say between 1, 2 and 3, the heat of hydrogenation of 1 will be least because it is having only one pi bond. But in 2 and 3, both are having at least 2 pi bonds, which is obviously more than one pi bond. Hence 1 is the least, and between 2 and 3 we need to compare, as per the second point, the stability of alkenes. More the stable alkene, less will be the heat of hydrogenation. And why this is happening? Simply because as the alkene is more stabilized, it will fall in the energy profile, and as it will fall in the energy profile, the gap between the alkene and the alkane will diminish. So between 2 and 3, let us understand which one is more stable. In 2 we see there are no electronic effects that shall disperse the electron cloud between these two carbons, but in this case we can see that a resonance can take place. That is, a resonance can take place from this, and this pi bond can shift over to this carbon. That means this electron cloud is being distributed among all these 4 carbons. Hence we can say that due to the effect of resonance, this 3 will be more stable than 2. And since 3 will be more stable than 2, hence we can say the heat of hydrogenation will be more for 2 than 3. Hence the heat of hydrogenation will be maximized for 2, then 3, and then 1. We have already understood why 1 is least, because 1 is having only one double bonded pi bond, but in case of 2 and 3 we see that 3 is stabilized, and as 3 is stabilized due to R and 2 is not stabilized, we can say that 3 is lower in energy profile than 2, because this 3 is lower due to this resonance. The resonance is this energy gap between 2 and 3. This energy gap is caused due to the resonance effect, that is the electronic effect that we have been studying all throughout. This resonance has decreased the stability, the resonance has increased the stability, and hence the molecule number 3 has lowered its status in the energy diagram. Thereby the gap between this alkene and the alkane is reduced as it is getting stabilized. All this 1, 2 and 3 are alkene. I have marked them as alkene, and the alkane can be taken as the same state, that is the final state, that is we are burning the alkene to the alkane. The reaction coordinate is this one, and the reaction is going from here to here. Ultimately all are becoming alkane, and since the alkene are getting most stabilized, the gap between the alkene and alkane is decreasing, and hence this gap, as I already told you, is just the measure of the heat of hydrogenation, this gap. So this gap is decreasing, and hence the heat of hydrogenation is also decreasing. So we can say from here that the heat of hydrogenation will be